Could you use a quick tip daily? How about a tip that can impact your day? My name is Rafael. Join me as I bring you tips by experts around the world. These experts have shared their knowledge and wisdom with me and will directly share them with you. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and comment, and I would love for you to become part of the New Tip Daily community. Good morning, Marilyn. Thank you so much for joining me on New Tip Daily. How are you today?
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you and your audience.
Actually, I want to thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure. I know we've known each other a tiny little bit, and you have some incredible tips and extremely important ones that you're going to be sharing with us today. I am thrilled that you made the time to be here with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So one of the things is the importance of stem cell donation. And earlier, I even asked you what that really meant for you and why you even decided to get involved in such an important topic or endeavor in your life. Are you okay to start with that?
Of course, let's start with that.
Okay.
The first thing I'd love to share is that every 3 to 4 minutes, someone in the United States is being diagnosed with a blood cancer.
Ooh.
Every 3 to 4 minutes. And that happened to me with my
Mm,
daughter in 2007. And she
mm,
was only a 7-month-old baby
wow.
and was diagnosed with a rare leukemia, one who could not be treated with traditional chemotherapeutic agents, right? So we think leukemia, we think there's chemo.
Mm,
Okay, we can fight this. Unfortunately, not in her case. It was rare. So the
mm,
only treatment at the time and still today for that condition is a stem cell transplant. It's a bone marrow transplant. Unfortunately, no one in the family was a match for her. Her other
mm,
2 siblings, my oldest daughter and son, and that's your best chance as a sibling because you have the same mother and father. They were
right.
not a match. And my husband and I were only half matches for her. So we
Mm,
now had to go onto this registry, this public registry of volunteers to search for someone to save our daughter's life. And the information that we gathered during that time, I felt was important to continue to share even after her passing.
mm. That had to be a tough time for you guys,
It was horrible.
I'm sure.
It was
I'm
a
sure.
horrible time for us, of course. You know, to
Mm,
hear something like cancer, as soon as you hear the word cancer, right?
mm,
I myself am a nurse. I've been a nurse for almost 4 decades at this point. And so my medical mind is going, okay, this is something I can. She's a baby, but I know that there's things out there that can help. I had actually saved her cord blood, which is something I had not even done with
wow.
my other 2 children.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm thinking because that is one of the treatments is to use the cord blood, the baby's own cord blood, in order to replace diseased cells
Mm,
with healthy ones.
right.
But unfortunately, they told me that they could not be used, in her case because of the rarity of her disease.
Mm,
So it was just hit after hit after hit, you
I'm
know?
sure. They say that the reason that we have children is to make us better parents, but also I believe children are angels brought to us to make us better, to try us and see how well we do. And when you lose someone as young as your daughter, it truly puts a strain even on your faith, I'm sure. But wow,
Yes,
so powerful.
100%. And I'm as we like to call it, a cradle Catholic, right? I was born
Mm,
into Catholicism, followed it well. My parents were very strong in the faith, participated at every event, every Sunday,
mm,
took us to church. So grew up in the faith and I
right.
practiced my faith along with my profession, right? So having and I was a nurse at 17 years old. I became a licensed practical nurse at the age of
Wow.
17. So I literally had dedicated my life, number
Mm,
one, to medicine. No, let me say that again. Number one, to God. Number
yes.
two, to medicine. So dedicated my life to them. And I felt after her passing that they had both let me down.
Mm,
So imagine feeling like you don't want to be a medical professional anymore because you don't
Right.
believe in the practice that you're doing. And then again, having faith that God would do a miracle. And then it did. In my mind at the time, I felt the miracle didn't happen, but it actually did.
Yeah. She how what was your daughter's name?
Isabella.
Oh, what a beautiful name. Beautiful name. And I know
Thank you.
she lives in your family forever. But Isabella was put here. We all have a purpose in our lives. You, me, and everyone. Isabella had a purpose, and she was to empower you guys, to teach you,
Absolutely.
and strengthen you. Right. So God bless Isabella.
Amen. Amen. She has actually inspired an entire family to
Mm,
carry her legacy and carry the lessons learned. My oldest daughter, which was her sister, I had two boys, two girls,
mm.
um, works for NMDP, that same organization that helps you find your match.
Wow.
That is the organization. She now works for them. So it's full circle
Mm,
moment for her. And she honors her sister every single day with the work that she does. And it was because of my eldest daughter that I found that the information that was shared with me back then, and that is that Hispanics and minorities did not have a presence on that registry. So when we are searching for someone to save our loved one's life, there may not be somebody there because we don't have
mm,
the same amount of people of our same genetic background on that registry. So she shared that with me because she was doing a drive for a little girl who had been searching for 6 years. She didn't have cancer, but she has a disorder that eventually will take her life.
mm.
And she couldn't find a match for her. 6 years searching.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that upset me to the point that I said, if we don't do something different, we will never have a different outcome. And I
Mm.
have to do something more than what I've been doing by just talking and having drives. We have to take this up a notch. And that's when I decided to start the nonprofit and write my book.
Incredible. And we definitely I'm going to have you on other podcasts too, because I definitely I know that today's about tips, but I definitely want to get deeper into your story and everything that your family grew from because of your daughter Isabella. When you talked about um, minorities and Spanish and so forth, we really don't. And for those of you who don't know, I am Colombian. We really don't participate in a lot of these things. We're very close knit culture, right? No matter what nationality you are, you kind of like stick to your own and you don't
Right.
think of others sometimes. And I think that happens with a lot of minorities, and their voices are not heard because they don't believe that their voices matter.
That's right. That's right. And it's very unfortunate.
Totally, totally. Tell us, and I know you have some tips as to even why we should consider donation.
So, why should we consider? We're
Mm,
able to save lives in life with a stem cell donation.
mm,
Like I said, every 3 to 4 minutes, someone is diagnosed. I had a
mm,
daughter with leukemia. I now have a father with multiple myeloma, which is a different
mm.
type of blood cancer.
Oof.
So, 2 times I'm sandwiched in between a father and a daughter with a blood cancer. So, it
Mm,
hit my family twice. For me, this is personal, right? And we have the ability to
right,
do something with a disparity that exists. There's a lot of things that we can't change in this world, but this is something that we can.
right.
And
Oh,
don't wait for you to be on the other side of this screen until it happens to you to do something about it. We need to be proactive today so that tomorrow others have a chance of life.
wow. It it definitely has touched your family and unexpectedly, obviously. When somebody may consider donating, what is the process that someone has to go through? What do they have to give up? Because a lot of people, the reason they don't donate is that same reason. They don't want to give
Yes.
anything up, right?
Right. Yeah. So a couple of myths is that it's a surgery that you have to go and break bones in order to get the bone marrow because of the word bone
Right.
marrow, right? That's why we refer to it more as a stem cell donation, because in 90% of the cases, 90%, that's very, very high, right?
Mm.
The donation process is like giving blood, where you're hooked up to a machine that looks like an IV, right? And we've all had those, and we've all had blood taken. And those of you that have donated blood, it's as simple as that. You get
Mm.
hooked up, they take out the stem cells that they need, and then they return the rest of the blood product to you. It's a one day, you're awake, you get to hang out with somebody, you get to hang out with some great nurses like me while this is going on, and you get to go home and live your life, right? In regards to the 10%, where it's actually a bone marrow, where they have to take it from the back of your pelvic bone, it's a needle that goes in. It's a less than 1 hour procedure. It's done under anesthesia. You don't feel a thing
Mm.
during the
Mm.
whole thing. You may feel a little bit of soreness after that, but hey, you get sore when you're working out, right?
That's right.
And you
That's
don't
right.
complain about it. And in this case, you're saving somebody's life. You get to go home and enjoy your family and enjoy your life. But think about that other person on the other side.
Mm.
Their days are counted, and you were
Wow.
able to save a life. Imagine the
That's
impact
incredible.
that you can have. Yeah.
Wow. Powerful. So there may be people out there who say, yes, I give my bone marrow stem cell, but do I now lack some of what I gave? What happens to me
Great
after?
question. Great question. I love it. I think that's the first time anybody's ever asked that one. So
Mhm.
we continuously make these stem cells in our body. These stem cells are present within our bones. They are present within our blood. These are immature cells that then turn into your red blood cells, your white blood cells, and your platelets. These are things that sustain life, and we're constantly making them. So the same in when you're donating blood, you give blood, but you continue to make blood. So you replenish it right away. So
Mm.
no,
So you're not
you don't lose it.
depleting anything.
You're not depleting anything. And in actuality, there's a medication that you're administered about 5 days before the procedure, for 5 days leading up to the procedure, that increases your body's production of these stem cells. So you're going
Mm.
to having an overabundance of them. So what they're taking is the overabundance of these cells, and you get to keep yours.
Wow. It it seems like such an easy procedure. Why are we not hearing more about it?
And I will say that the NMDP, the organization that is where they find their matches and has these drives, they do a really good job at educating people. But I think that if it doesn't affect you, you tend to not pay attention. Now that you're paying attention, you're going to start seeing it. It's like when you buy a car, right? Of a
Mm.
particular make and model, and all of a sudden you start seeing them everywhere. Same thing.
Everywhere.
Let me give you this little bit of information. You're going to start seeing the signs and things that are around there, and now you're going to pay attention to it. But I
Mm.
also feel that we need to do a better job at getting this information to the people that don't have that presence on the registry, to the Latinos in their language and in their doctor's offices. I know in my doctor's office, I don't see anything
Mm.
that tells me that there's a need, that tells me how to do this, and that encourages me to join. I think we need to get to those places, our schools, our workplaces, our doctors, so that our people can start asking questions. And when I say our people, I talk more about the Black and Brown communities and the minorities, mixed ethnicity individuals. We need to see this. We need to see the disparity, and that we can do something. Joining the registry is as simple as swabbing the inside of your cheek.
Mm.
That's it. It takes maybe 10 minutes of your time, 10 seconds each side, and it's easier than brushing your teeth. Way better than the COVID testing we were doing up our
Oh
noses
my
just a few
God.
years ago.
Oh,
Remember
yes.
that?
Oh,
Nobody
yeah.
complained. You wanted to go out, you had to get swabbed. You needed to
That's
go to
it.
work. Yeah, so imagine this, it's a swab of the cheek inside of your mouth. And then you
Mm.
put it back in the postage page envelope. If you go onto my website, the kit comes right to your house. You don't even have to go out of your house to get it.
Wow. Wow.
That simple. And then you just wait. I've been on the registry. I joined the registry when I was 25 years old. I'm
Wow.
now about to be 56 years old, right? Very young, before I even had children. I had gone with my husband at church to a drive for a little girl who was in need. We joined never knowing that we were going to be on the other side of that in a few short years.
Wow. Wow.
And we've never been called. We've never been called.
Really interesting. When you talk about the difference of ethnicity, if you will, why is that a factor compared to, why can't a person from India donate to somebody from Ireland? What's the
So
difference?
well, it depends on your ethnicity. If you're Puerto Rican and you're living in India, yes, you can.
Well, no, I
Right?
meant
I know
if
what you
you're
meant. I know.
Anglo-Saxon, let's say, right?
Yeah,
And
so because it is genetic, there's a genetic protein that's looked at when you're doing a transplant so that your body accepts it. It's the same as
mm,
if you're doing a heart transplant, a lung transplant. You're looking for someone that matches you so that your
mm,
body doesn't reject it, right? So there are proteins that are on our blood, right, that allow us then to accept that transplant and we don't reject it. So usually it's going to be somebody within your same genetic background because
mm,
these proteins are inherited. So that is why that's an important factor. I will share with you that Isabella's donor, because we did find a donor for her, and he is Anglo. So when I finally
mm,
did meet him a few years ago and I got to speak to him, I asked him the $1 million question. If this was so important that genetics played such a big part, as I was told, how is it that you matched my daughter? And then
right.
he shared, yeah, I was like, what is this? Right? So it turns out that his paternal grandmother was from Mexico. So
Wow.
he had diversity within him. I said,
Mm,
we're not even the same Latin, but that just shows you how connected we are as a people. That it's not Puerto Rican, Colombian, Dominican, Mexicano, has
right.
nothing to do with it. We're all the same. We are all one.
Mm,
And that little bit of diversity allowed him to match my daughter at a higher level than her own family.
mm, incredible.
Who does
Wh-
that
wh-
but God?
oh my gosh, that's what an incredible story that you're sharing with us, and it makes me think. Yes, they're doing a good job getting the word out, but until today, I knew little. And
Yeah.
thank you for educating me, right? And for those of you listening to us, anybody, whether you're watching this now or on the replay, consider one of the things that Marilyn said. You don't think about it until it actually affects you or someone you love. And then all of a sudden you go crazy trying to figure it out. Why don't we be proactive and be part of the system now? Marilyn, I'm going to sign up with you for sure. Thank you, because I've given blood, and it's interesting. When I gave blood the last time, all the nurses came over to me. They're like, "You're kind of weird." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they said,
Right.
your blood just flows." I said, "Okay, it was meant to be, right? It was good." And I'm O positive. No, I'm
Mm.
the rare blood that
Universal donor?
that's me, right?
Universal donor, that's you. Yeah.
Yeah.
O
So
positive.
is that O positive? Yeah. So that's what I am. And all of a sudden, they kept coming over to me, and they're like, "We want you to donate all the time,
Yeah, I'm sure you get cards all the time in the mail now, right? And phone
all the
calls.
time."
Come, because you're O
Absolutely.
positive, meaning you can donate
Yeah.
to everybody.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
God bless. Me
And
too. I'm O positive as well.
oh, look at that. And that's God telling me that I'm here to help, right? So I did not know that we can go deeper. Is stem cell donation as well as similar to plasma donation?
The process is similar, but it's not the same thing. So
Okay.
because we're extracting stem cells in platelet donation, they're taking that cell. Remember, stem cells are immature cells that become these
Mm,
mature red blood cells, platelets, and white blood cells. So
right.
it's the one that before it becomes anything, right? That's what we're trying to get because then we
Mm,
transplant that into the sick patient, right? We take out their diseased cells, replace it with your healthy ones, and it allows them to now produce healthy blood cells. I also want to mention there is an age range for donation, and that is between the ages of 18 and 40. If you're over 40, it just means that you're overqualified, right? So if there's no discrimination going on there, you do stay on. Once you join, you stay on until you're 61. But the
Mm,
reason why 80% of the time the doctors are going to choose somebody within that age range is because the healthier the donor, the better the outcome for the recipient. And that's what we
correct.
want. We're saving their life, and we want them to be able to make these cells as fast as possible. And we all know the younger we are, the faster we recover. So the
Mm.
safety of the donor, the safety of the person receiving, it's optimal, and that's what we're looking for to make sure they have the best possible outcome.
You said 18 to 40?
40, 18 to 40. So what
So
can you do
if
if you're over 40?
I,
I'm
I'm
sure
gonna
that
t- I'm gonna tell everybody what to do. Ready? You ready,
yes,
everybody? This is what you do if you're over 40. You talk to everybody who's younger.
that's
you,
right. I'm sure you got
you
kids.
you have kids, you have grandkids. If you're in your 80s and you say, you know, I want to do something. If you're 65, you go, I want to do something. Well, you need to encourage those young people because they have a way to save lives. Right? Anybody who's 18 to 40, if you're listening to this, it is important and critical for you to take action today. Don't wait till you're 60, right? If you're
Yeah.
38, if you're 22, go do it.
If you're
And
40, go do it.
even if you're 40, go do it. It's important that I believe that anybody listening to this start a conversation on it. Talk to your church, talk to your friends, talk to any groups you belong to, and say, "Hey, did you know you can give stem cell donation? It's as easy as giving blood." If we phrase it that way, people go, "Where do I go?"
Hmm.
So one of the things that we have going across is your website, right? Izzy'sLegacyInc.org, so that you can help someone. You never
Absolutely.
know. You might be helping someone in your own family or your neighbor or a colleague. We never know.
We never
This has
know.
been truly incredible. Thank you for sharing your story with us and Isabella's name because I believe that and I know you put as Izzy's legacy, but I just love the name Isabella. It's such a
Isabella.
beautiful name.
Yeah, we called her Izzy for short, which is why
Mm.
when she was going through her transplant, one of my older brothers did a battle cry, and he said, "Let's get busy for Izzy," to the
Ooh,
cells, and they created posters that said, "Get busy for Izzy."
I love it.
So it became her battle cry. So when it was
Mm.
time to do this, I said, "We're going to call it Izzy's legacy," and our battle cry is, "Let's get busy for Izzy."
Oh, I love
Let's
it.
continue to spread her message of love and of unity, because that's
Mm.
what it is. Let's stay united.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on today. And I know how important this work is for you and your family, but it should be important for all of us because together we can make a difference in our world. And you don't know, you may be saving somebody that you never even thought about. It may be a 5-year old, it may be a 22-year-old. You don't know.
You don't know. And you don't know what that person will become.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
ripple effect. You just have to give up to the process, right? Surrender to God and say, hey, you're calling me to action. I don't know what
Mm,
that action is going to lead to, but I leave it in your hands.
that's right. And how, besides, do people donate just their stem, or is there a financial donation? How does this all work?
Yeah, no, there's no financial aspect to the person who's going to donate. Everything is covered by the recipient's insurance. NMDP does everything to accommodate, down to transporting you to the hospital, putting you up in a hotel if they need to, any costs associated with that, even to the point of, I know some people are hesitant to do that, especially if you're a blue collar worker, and that taking that day off in order to be able to donate means no money for you that day. And some people are not in a position to take a day off like that.
Mm.
Well, they're able to cover the costs as that too. They can help with that as well. It's just a matter of you speaking up what your needs are so that they can cover that, because they're a nonprofit organization themselves. They raise funds in order to be able to cover costs like this so that they can save lives. They're in the business of saving lives. I'm just helping them.
Wow, love it, love it. I got to tell you, this was such a great show for me personally, because I am Spanish, right? And one of the things that a lot of people, Spanish people in particular, don't believe they have a voice until it matters. But we need to have a voice before it matters, so that
That's it.
when it does matter, our voice is loud and it's out there.
Right. Let's educate ourselves. We have a tendency to wait until we're mad. Latinos were hot-blooded, right? So when we're mad, when we want to oust a governor, we want to do something, then we mobilize in masses. Well, how about we mobilize in masses before the situation becomes something we can't control,
Mm,
right? We could have been doing something. We can do something. Let's change the things that we can,
yeah.
right? Let's be there for one another. This is something
Mhm.
that we can do. This is
Love
something we
love
can
it.
do.
Marilyn, wow. Thank you. Great tips. And if you did not hear the tips, go and donate stem cells. Do it, do it, do it. And one more time, you wrote a book too.
I
Really
do.
quick, tell us about your book and the reason for your book. Obviously, I think we know, but tell us about your book really quick.
So, and the
This
reason
is
the
your
book came to
commercial.
me.
This is
Yeah,
your
this is it.
commercial.
This is it. So the name of my book is When the Answer is No, Finding Purpose Through Pain. You can pick
Mm,
up a copy. It's $25 on izzy'slegacy.com, actually. It was a website I started before this one. And it was in order to start the nonprofit. And it has a
mm,
code inside of it that leads you right to join the registry. So it was a vehicle for me to be able to spread awareness, share the story of not only Isabella, but as I mentioned, I'm a nurse for many, many years, and I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. So I was a public health nurse when the World Trade Center towers were hit. I was on the
mm,
ground. So I have a firsthand account of what I saw, witnessed, and worked during that time, and the
mm,
PTSD that I suffered from after that.
mm,
Then I talk about Isabella because for me, that was my personal 9/11. I didn't lose
right.
anybody in the original, but for me, this was, I suffered from the same PTSD symptoms that I had then
Mm,
after losing her. And
mm,
I, at that point, recognized it as PTSD. It's a traumatic event, right? That causes symptoms. But how was I able to heal from that? I'm a holistic nurse, right? So
mm,
even though I believe in traditional medicine, I believe in, like a Latina, we believe in other things as well, right? That
mm,
there are other ways for us to help our bodies naturally heal themselves. So what can I do to heal my mind, body, and spirit to become the
mm,
person that I was before losing her?
mhm,
And how can I share those tips with all of you? Because I'm not the only one that is suffering from traumatic events. So there are ways that I learned in order to keep myself, to be able to keep going in this world, right? To keep going in life. And those things are like meditation, aromatherapy. So all those tips, you talk about tips, all those tips are shared in When the Answer is No, Finding Purpose Through Pain. We
mm,
always pray for a positive outcome to a difficult situation. And when we don't get it, right, we think that it's a no. We think the universe is telling us no. But in actuality, the purpose is greater than we can ever imagine.
beautiful. Yes, it is more than we could ever imagine. It's
More,
bigger than us,
much
right?
more.
It's bigger
Absolutely.
than us. Yeah.
And that book is available in English and Spanish.
Look at you. Look at you. I love it. No excuses.
No excuses. I covered it all. There's a code in there. You scan it with your phone, join the registry.
Love it. Love it. Yes. Marilyn, blessed to know you. Thank you for today.
Thank you.
And everybody, do me a favor, like the show, follow it, and share today's episode with everyone. Everyone you know, everyone you come in contact with needs to know about today's show and the important work that Izzy's legacy is doing. Think about that.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Have yourself an exceptional day. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.